Melina. Melina is a mysterious figure whose origins, for much of Elden Ring, remain obscured in riddles and symbols. She first appears to the Tarnished as a spectral maiden, offering guidance, purpose, and the ability to channel runes into strength. But beneath her calm demeanor lies a profound connection to the divine, one that places her among the Demi-Gods, whether she claims the title or not. Hints scattered throughout the game suggest Melina is the daughter of Queen Marika. She refers to herself as having been born at the foot of the Erd Tree, and she bears an eye marked by flame, a possible sign of her connection to the Rune of Death and destined sacrifice. She is also heavily tied to the spirit world, appearing and vanishing at will, unbound by physical form for most of the game. Though not aligned with any faction, Melina carries out a mission of cosmic weight to deliver the Tarnished to the Erd Tree and ensure the burning of the thorns that seal its heart. This act, which requires sacrifice, may well be the fate assigned to her at birth. She willingly offers herself to become the kindling of the flame, immolating her body to break the Erd Tree's divine seal. It is a moment of tragic beauty, a forgotten daughter giving everything so that another may enter the tree her own mother once ruled. However, Melina's fate is not set in stone. In alternate endings, such as the Lord of Frenzied Flame, she survives, returning with her eye now open, speaking of vengeance and flame. These variations hint that she is more than a passive guide.
Godrick the Grafted. Godrick is one of the last scions of the Golden lineage, a descendant of Godfrey and Queen Marika. However, his connection to divinity is so diluted that other demigods barely recognize him as one of their own. Feeling inadequate and desperate to assert power, Godrick turns to grotesque grafting rituals, sewing arms, legs, and even heads from fallen warriors onto his own body. In his eyes, each graft is a stolen claim to greatness, a way to embody the strength of others, since he cannot manifest it himself. Ruling over Stormvale Castle, Godrick is a tyrant who surrounds himself with tortured abominations and corrupt knights. He postures like a king, but in truth, he's a coward who hides behind the power he's stolen. He worships strength, but misunderstands what it truly means, becoming a tragic parody of heroism. His downfall at the hands of the Tarnished is inevitable, and in many ways, symbolic. His Great Rune enhances all attributes, but even this stolen power cannot save him from irrelevance.
Ranni the Witch. Ranni is the daughter of Radahn and Rennala, born into two opposing divine lineages, the Golden Order and the Full Moon. From the beginning, she is destined for greatness, chosen by the Greater Will to become an Empyrean, a potential successor to Queen Marika. But Ranni, fiercely independent and highly intelligent, rejects this role outright. In a radical act of defiance, Ranni orchestrates the Night of the Black Knives, stealing a fragment of the Rune of Death and using it to slay her own flesh. She destroys her physical body, severing her soul from the control of the Greater Will. Now existing in a doll body, she works behind the scenes to guide fate away from divine tyranny. Ranni seeks to usher in the Age of Stars, an era where the Greater Will's influence is banished and the world is governed by cold cosmic intelligence. She aligns with forces far beyond the lands between, particularly the Dark Moon, and those aligned with outer cosmic truths. Ranni is enigmatic, morally ambiguous, and utterly focused on her goal, the complete replacement of the Divine Order with one of her own making.
General Radahn.
General Radahn the Star Scourge is a towering figure of martial excellence. The son of Radahn and Rennala, Radahn trained under the gravitational sorcerers of Sellia and became a master of gravity magic. This wasn't merely for battle. He learned to control gravity so that he could continue riding his tiny beloved horse, Leonard, despite his immense size. Radahn was once a noble and proud general, beloved by his soldiers and feared across the lands. His greatest feat was stopping the movement of the stars themselves, halting the natural order of fate to preserve the Golden Order's dominance. However, his greatness was undone by his duel with Malenia during the Shattering. Though their battle ended in a draw, Malenia unleashed Scarlet Rot upon him, causing Radahn to lose his mind. Now he roams Caelid in a feral state, devouring friend and foe alike. Despite his madness, he remains such a powerful figure that warriors across the lands between hold a festival in his honor to release him from his cursed existence. In Shadow of the Erd Tree, Miquella uses Mohg's remains as a vessel to resurrect Radahn's soul. Revived in youth and bolstered by Miquella's blood-infused magic and Mohg's vessel, Radahn exhibits even greater ferocity as the promised consort of Miquella.
Rykard, Lord of Blasphemy. Rykard, another son of Radahn and Rennala, took a drastically different path from his siblings. Disillusioned with the constraints of the Golden Order, he sought forbidden knowledge and power. He eventually discovered the god-devouring serpent beneath Mount Gelmir and made the ultimate sacrifice, allowing himself to be consumed by it. In becoming one with the serpent, Rykard shed his humanity and became a monstrous fusion of man and God-eater. His transformation was not a loss, but a triumph in his eyes. He believed that only by devouring the gods themselves could true freedom be achieved. Rykard founded Volcano Manor, a bastion for those who rejected the Golden Order. Here, he gathered champions and heretics who believed in strength through transgression. He preached a new doctrine, that blasphemy, not faith, would lead to true power. His Great Rune allows the wielder to regain health with every kill, a mechanic perfectly suited to his ideology. Rykard is the embodiment of sacrilegious ambition, a being who cast aside every constraint in pursuit of the power to consume divinity itself. Morgott, the Omen King.
Morgott is the tragic twin of Mohg and the eldest true-born son of Queen Marika and Godfrey. Born an Omen, marked by twisted horns and monstrous strength, Morgott was cast into the sewers beneath Lendel, the royal capital. Despite being exiled and reviled, he remained devoutly loyal to the Golden Order, internalizing its laws even as it condemned him. Operating in secret under the alias Morgott the Fell Omen, Morgott tested and challenged Tarnish before they could advance. When he finally reveals himself as king, it's not in opposition to the Erd Tree, but in defense of it. Morgott's loyalty to the Order is absolute, even though it never reciprocates. He guards the Erd Tree with his life, but in the end, he too is denied entry, its thorns rejecting him as they reject all others. His death is both noble and pitiful, a loyal dog slain by the very order he protected. Morgott represents the pain of servitude to an unloving god, a martyr to a broken system.
Mohg, Lord of Blood.
Mohg is Morgott's twin brother, but unlike his sibling, he embraces the hatred the world has for him. Also born an Omen, Mohg flees into the depths beneath the lands between, and eventually falls under the sway of the Formless Mother, an outer god associated with blood and ambition. Through her influence, Mohg becomes a messiah of blood, wielding a cursed sacrificial flame and commanding legions of Albinorics and blood cultists. He dreams of building a new dynasty to replace the Golden Order, one ruled not by grace, but by blood. To achieve this, Mohg kidnaps Miquella while the latter slumbers in his cocoon. Mohg performs an unholy ritual to bind himself to Miquella, claiming him as his consort and divine figurehead. Whether Miquella accepted or even understood this union is doubtful. He never awakens during Mohg's rite. He is the manifestation of selfish ambition twisted by an outer god, cruel, calculating, and completely consumed by a need to replace the system that cast him out.
Miquella the Unalloyed.
Miquella, twin brother of Malenia, is perhaps the most revered and mysterious of Marika's children. Born cursed to remain eternally youthful, he is also one of the most gifted beings in the lands between. A prodigy in both magic and divine philosophy, Miquella sought to create a world free from the corruption of the outer gods. Unlike other demigods who sought domination or destruction, Miquella's ambitions were rooted in healing and harmony. He developed unalloyed gold, a substance capable of resisting the meddling of outer gods, and used it to try to cure Malenia's scarlet rot. He also grew the Halig tree, a sanctuary for outcasts, with the dream of creating a new order based on empathy and resistance to divine influence. Miquella voluntarily entered a cocoon beneath the Halig tree in an attempt to become a god. But before his transformation could complete, he was abducted by Mohg, who hoped to co-opt Miquella's ascension for his own blood-soaked dynasty. Though inert in the base game, Miquella plays a central role in Shadow of the Erd Tree, where his shadow guides the Tarnished across a forgotten land filled with those he left behind.
Malenia, Blade of Miquella. Malenia is Miquella's twin, and perhaps the most powerful demigod in the lands between. Born cursed with scarlet rot, a divine affliction that devours her from within, she compensates for her frailty with peerless swordsmanship. Trained by the blind swordsman known only as her mentor, she becomes a living weapon, capable of cutting through gods. Malenia serves not the Golden Order but her brother. Her entire existence is devoted to protecting Miquella and supporting his vision.
During the Shattering, she fights Radahn in a battle that ends with her unleashing the Scarlet Rot, transforming Caelid into a diseased wasteland. Despite her terrifying strength, Malenia is also a deeply tragic figure. Her prosthetic limbs and iron resolve mask the suffering caused by her curse. She cannot die, cannot be healed, and cannot protect the one person she loves most. Malenia is a paradox, an angel of death driven by love who walks the line between savior and destroyer.
Godwyn the Golden. Godwyn is the son of Marika and Godfrey and was once considered the greatest hope of the Golden lineage. Unlike his militant brothers, Godwyn was noble and pure-hearted. However, his life is cut short during the Night of the Black Knives, a pivotal event where a group of assassins steals a fragment of destined death and uses it to slay him. But Godwyn's death is unique. Only his soul is killed, while his body remains. This half-death corrupts the natural cycle of life and death, giving rise to the phenomenon of those who live in death, undead creatures who defy Erdtree law. Godwyn's corpse festers beneath the lands between, spreading deathroot and twisting the very roots of the Erdtree. He becomes a grotesque god of undeath, worshipped by those cast out by the Golden Order. Though he never becomes a boss or antagonist, Godwyn's death marks the beginning of the end for the Erdtree's divine order. His fate is the original sin, the spark that ignites the collapse of an entire age.